Hello and welcome to an introductory lesson on CSPro data entry. We're going to have to design a simple form, and we are going to use this particular form as an example. It looks simple, so the idea is to learn how to create an entry form in CSPro and how do we use it to enter data. So this is basically a student questionnaire where you have the student identification number, the first name, last name, other names, the program information and contact information. And the second part of the form will have to do with course registration. So here you have 6 courses where the student can enter. You can enter up to 6 or less than 6 courses. Then you confirm by signing your initials down there. So I'm going to close this and then start it so that we look at what we're going to enter in CSPro and where we're going to begin and what we are going to do in order to come up with a form that is looking like this, or what resembles the paper form of the questionnaire that you are using to create this entry form. When you open CSPro for the first time, this is what you see. Now if you don't have any project already, you don't see what you are seeing here. So the first thing we need to do when you see this dialog box popping up is to go to the first radio button, click on it, that is create a new application. So we're going to click on that one and say OK, and that will lead us to another dialog box. Now this one has 2 tabs, the application tab and the other tab. So the first thing we need to do for the first time is to click on other tab and then pick the data dictionary. Data dictionary is where you define your variables, where you define the labels, where you define the values and the value sets. So this is basically to create the structure of your data entry form. So we're just going to click on OK and then create a name, give it a name. What name are we going to give to it? So I am going to just give it a CSPro intro. CSPro intro as the name. So save it. Then CSPro automatically creates some few things for you to begin with. So the first, you have the entry level. That is the very first entry level, CS intro level. So basically it takes the name you are given to it. So whatever name you have given to the file, it will just use that name to create the entry level for you here. Then it creates an ID for you, a unique ID. So every record, every questionnaire or every data that you enter would have to have an ID number. So it creates the ID number automatically for you. Of course, you can make changes to this ID to suit what you are doing. You can have more than one ID in your data entry process as you go on. So that will depend on you, but this first one is automatically created for you. Again, it creates a record, additional record for you to begin with. So besides the ID, it creates a record for you which you can modify, or you can add more, change and add more, or leave it as it is. So the first we're going to do is to make changes to the ID. So I'm going to click on the plus sign here to open up the items in the ID section. So you can see that we have CSPro intro identification. So we're going to make changes to this. How do we do that? We right click on CS intro identification and modify. So here we are going to change this to our own name. We are going to call the student registration. We are dealing with students and we want to use names that we are familiar with. So student registration number. Then that is the label. Then the name, the variable name itself, we can just give it reg number. Now, should it be numeric or should it be alpha? Numeric means that you can only enter numbers. Alpha means you can enter letters and numbers, all of them together. So I'm going to leave the index number as numeric. Then we move to, don't worry about the starting point for now. CSPro is going to be automatically assign those for you. So we're going to go to the lens and make the changes there. So we're going to say, okay, this place we have 9 digits. we have 9 digits in total. So press your tab key until you get to the 0 field. Now I am interested in the 0 field now because if you are going to enter the index number 1, assuming everything is going to be 0 before a 1, should you allow all those zeros to be shown, or should you just strip them off and leave the 1? So if we say no to the 0 field, we will always have 1. Whenever we type 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, it will default back to just 1. So we are going to pick a yes for this one, so that if you are entering 1, it will give you leading zeros depending on the length of the variable. So here we have 9 characters, so we will have 8 0 0 0, 8 of them before the first one will come. So that is the idea of the 0 field. Press your tab key again, and that will accept the registration, whatever you have entered. So we are done with the registration for now. We are going to go to the first record. Now we want to create 3 records, just 3 records for the sake of this introduction. What is the name of the first record? Now the first record, we are going to give it as just basic information. So I'm going to right click on this and modify the record and call this basic information. Then the record name, that is the variable name itself, we are going to just say basic info, basic underscore info. What is the maximum? We just leave it as 1. Okay, then we come back to it again, basic record in the dictionary tree. Right click on it and add item. So these are now individual questionnaires under this section of your questionnaire. So this is going to add the first item to the basic info. So what is the first basic information? The first basic information we have in the form is our first name. So we have first name, or I can type student first name. This is a label, so you give it a name that will identify or explain in full what the variable is all about. So I'm going to use first name as my variable name, and a name is not numeric, names are letters. So I'm going to say, let's pick alpha from here to tell CSPro that whatever you're going to enter in this field, consider them as letters, addresses, names. So a number actually is not a number here, but it's just text. What is the length? The length, I'm going to use 50 so that it can accommodate if your first name is very long. No matter how long it is, it should be able to capture the very lengthy names among the students. So I'm going to leave it as 50 as the length of the first one. Then press your tab key until you get to another one. So these ones, I am not going to give them very lengthy labels. By now we understand how the labels are done, what the labels do and what the variables do. So I'm going to provide just short labels, and so that the variable names will just pick the label as the default. So here I'm going to have surname or last name. So I have last name here. Then pick the default as that alpha again. Then the length I will leave it at 50. So all the names I'm going to leave the length at 50. Then we have other names. Now other names I will leave it as other names because it's short. Alpha again, and the length here is going to be another 50. Program of study. So I have program of study, and program of study I probably will just shorten that to program in the variables column, and then I'm going to use the initials of the departments or the programs as the name so that we can define them later to the proper labeling. So I'm going to say I have just 3 or 4 departments. The maximum length of the initials is 4. So I'm going to say let's use alphanumeric, but give me a maximum of 4 letters that I can use. So I press my tab key again to move to the next item. Then year in program, which year are you? I put AY to denote academic year. Now academic year, I want to make it numeric, and numeric I'll say okay, I want it to be 3, the line to be 3. That is level 100, level 200, level 300, and maybe level 400. So I'll leave it at the length of 3 and accept the defaults as they are. Next in line is the sex of student. So here I leave the sex as the variable name, and sex is going to be numeric again, so that I can have it as, let's say, 0 for male, 1 for female, or 1 for male, 2 for female, that kind of thing. So let's leave it at 1 and move on to the next one that says age. So age of student, how old is the student? Numeric again, and we don't have a student that is more than 99 years, so I'm going to say the length for this field will be 2. So it can be 10, 20, 30, 40, 90, 99. It can be 100. So we don't have students who are 100 years plus. So leave it as maximum of 2 characters. Accept the defaults, and we move to the next field, that is phone number. Phone number, and we are asking if you have a WhatsApp, we would prefer that one. Okay, then I just shorten the variable name to phone, leave it as numeric and put it as 10. In Ghana we use, without a country code, we have 10 digits, so we leave it as 10. And then the last but not the least field in this is our email address. Email address, email for short. Then email is alphanumeric and not numeric, and we give it 50 characters long so that it can accommodate. So you can get more than that, so you can give it actually a very long space so that whatever the size of your email address is, it can actually accommodate it. So we press our tab key. Now we don't have additional one to enter, so we just press escape to move out of this. Now we are going to say that this program of study, the year in program, the sex of students, these ones we actually need to do something extra to them, because the program of study is STA. Somebody will not understand what STA is if you are not used to the acronyms. So we're going to make changes to this particular one. So let's right click on program study and we add value set. So press your enter key 2 times to give you space to type the new things that you want to type in. So I am going to say let's enter statistics, and statistics is supposed to be STA. So I jump all that, go to procurement and logistics management, so just leave it procurement for short. Then that will be PLM, leave the rest as they are. Then I have hospitality management, and that is ACIM, so 4 characters long. Accept. The next is sex of the program, sex of the students. We add the values there, enter to accept the defaults, value labels and value set. And we have male as 1, female as 2. Leave the rest as they are. And then year in program, we need to add that too. Year in program, level 100 is just 100. Level 200 is just 200. Level 300 is 300. And then level 400 is 400. Press escape, accept it. So we save this and we are done with the basic information record. The next record is the course registration record. We right click again here to add record, course registration. So I just leave here as course rec, then accept the defaults. The last, let me just add the last records so that we will edit them and add the fields. So the last record is confirmation, confirm. So leave the defaults as they are, press escape. Now in the confirmation we only need one, so it's easy to add the item there and continue. So confirm or sign signature to confirm courses. So just put your initials to accept the courses. So here I'm going to put sign. And then, is it numeric? No, it's not numeric. I want you to enter letters so that will represent, or initial that will represent your signature. So I put alpha there. Then here I don't want to make it plenty, so I ask for just 20 characters. So you can use the initials to do that. Press escape, and that is done. So let's go back to the course registration and add the items that we needed there. So course registration, we need a course code. That's the name. So here we put C code as the variable name, and C code is going to pick letters and numbers together. So we're going to pick alpha there. Then we allow a maximum of 7, though some of them will not be up to that, but we just want to be sure that every other course code will be accepted in this form. So we leave it at a maximum 7. Then we press our tab key to move to another field called that course title. Then here C title for short. Again alphanumeric, and we'd want a very long one. So let's say give it up to 30. Okay, even though some will be more than that, but just give it up to 30 for the name. Tap to get the next one, and that is number of credit hours. Then here will just be C credit. C credit is numeric, and we'll leave it as 1 digit. We cannot have up to 10 digits per course, except you are going to go to PhD courses, PhD thesis or dissertation, where you probably will have 12 or more than 10. So just course registration, we don't want the thesis part of this one, so leave it as 1. Alright, so name of class or class number. Where is the course the tuition is going to take place? So let's say class num for short. No. Should we leave it as numeric or should we change that? Now the blocks that you have, blocks are labeled maybe A, B, C, D, and then the classrooms within the blocks are serially numbered. So assuming that we don't have more than 100 in one block, we would want to use alpha so that the first letter or the first character will be a letter and the other 2 will be numbers. So we say that we want a length of 3, and then we accept that those defaults. Then we now press our escape to accept, to allow this to stay. So basically we have 3 records here, and we're going to save that. And the next thing we are going to do is to create the CS data application, the entry application. So let's move into that. That is what the next video will take us into.